welcome back. Now, she seemed to have gotten justice served after her father was jailed for defiling her at age 13, but lack of social protection has pushed her to the streets and opened her up to all manner of social vices, including prostitution. That's the story of a 20-year-old victim of incest who lives a solitary life with her 2 children and is expecting a third. Love FM's Chrissy Deborah has the rest of the story.
Amma, as we call her in this report, tells me she used to sing in church. She is full of praise to God, but maybe not out of gratitude.
I was raised by my grandmother at Posheng, a suburb of Kumasi. I decided to look after my biological father, who abandoned me after birth. So I moved to stay with my dad after a family member agreed.
On the night of May 2011, the unthinkable happened. Her father, JoyNews, forcibly has sex with her in the apartment.
Relatives who heard my screams reported the matter to the Swami police, who arraigned my father before the law. At the court, my father pleaded guilty to the offense and pleaded for forgiveness. He told the court he doesn't know why he committed that offense.
Amma returned to her grandmother, who is now 85 years. She couldn't contain what she considered an unpleasant state of being a burden on the old lady, so she decided to search for work. Life led her to a group of gangsters, where she took to smoking marijuana and engaged in sex trade for survival.
Out of sex trade, I've gotten 2 children and I'm now 5 months pregnant. I am tempted to go back to the house of my grandmother, but it isn't working. They have refused me home on grounds that I come without the pregnancy.
Amma now lives in a kiosk. She has few clothes in this polythene bag. Lydia is her benefactor.
She came and told me she has no place to sleep. She was with me in the house and my husband had traveled. When he came back, I moved her into this place. I was moved by her pregnancy.
She wants a reformed life, but she has no idea how.
Sad story there. And still staying on the issue of sexual assault, the grandmother of a 14-year-old girl who was gang raped and strangled by 5 men in Koko says the Social Welfare Department is still yet to honor its promise to provide social support services to her granddaughter. Although 3 of the 5 perpetrators are currently facing trial, with 2 still at large, the survivor now depends on support from benevolent individuals to pay for medical and psychological care following the horrifying incident in March. In the Hotline documentary, survivors Gloria Acunyo recounted to JoyNews' Adelaide Arthur how they were left disappointed.
Social welfare for mutu anamo ba ye nchen. Eme church o masem ni nyina mu. Nti e wo ha na omo san ba se empanifo free Accra ne Kofodua beba. Nti ye mehia mo office. Nti ampa ye kohia mo office ho. Ona omo sa aban se obeboa. Na ode na ko adepam school awo so manya. Nti omo hia ye. Ene ye keka niema ehu hia no omo churochuro ni nyina o mbetoto ama na ama ne dia ko school no. Nti omo chese anka first June kono no mba be fa nako tama mba no mo se bio school no na ye be ko hospital ni nti omo se first June no nka mba be fa na free ho kono mba be fa nako nti ehwe ya na ma ana the call office ho na me ko bisa mo ho asem na o mo say scanner o mo je ama akono ama ne de e de na akono scanner maaye nti ne yehwe ni mu kakra nti yegusu yehwe ni mu hospital kano ane police report no mo de be maaye ni nyina akoye 990 Ghana
90 Ghana
90 Ghana
and 9 million 90 Ghana
90 Ghana ena omo me kototo onuro so wo drugstore e baaye eno so koye can I say? Me can I titi di mu 1.1.
It's 110 Ghana cedis.
Pacha, nti ni nyina akosi 2 million.
Okay.
Pacha.
Ani nyina ye wankasa obotom sika.
Eno kra na me ni bi adonfo na don me.
Well, in the same documentary, then Director of the Department on Social Welfare, Benjamin Otu, said his outfit was constrained financially.
We are going through challenges when it comes to funding. The Nkoko case, I'm aware, the officers went there actually. And sometimes if the funding is not forthcoming from the central government, we fall on NGOs. But sometimes too, there are NGOs, if certain NGOs are not operating in your area, it becomes difficult for them to actually assist. So you have to identify. It isn't all NGOs who are in that area. So if you don't get an NGO in that area of maybe child support and the rest, it becomes very difficult in getting. So these are definitely challenges, because if the person will have to undergo skill training, if even in our institution, definitely you need some funding to support the person. If it is not a residential institution, that means even the transport to and from home to the institution also becomes a challenge. The Justice for Children policy, for instance, talks about support for victims of such abuses and the rest. So until that fund is set in place, because if the fund is there, then you can quickly fall on the fund, draw some money to assist victims of such nature. We talk about the child undergoing medical examination. And medical examination, it should be a thorough medical examination, not just going, they just examine, oh, there's nothing wrong. Because anything can happen. The child may contract even STD or whatever. So it means a thorough examination, and that will call for scanning, lab tests, so on and so forth, which even if the child has NHIS scan may not cover. So the setting up of the fund will go a long way in helping victims of defilement.
Now, victims of defilement will soon be legally entitled to compensation. This is one of the many amendments to the Children's Act being proposed by the Ministry for Gender, Children and Social Protection. The Act is being amended to give legislative backing to the Justice for Children policy developed in 2015. Now, a private legal practitioner, Martin Pigbu, stampeded the Human Rights Court, pleading with judicial powers to force government to establish a domestic violence support fund to provide free medical care for domestic violence victims. Well, he won the case and a fund has been established. However, the fund is empty. So of what use is a fund without funds? Martin Pigbu joins me here today to dissect the issues. Good evening and welcome to JoyNews Prime.
Good evening.
So congratulations on winning the case, but how do you feel about the fact that it is still empty? I mean, I think this case was won in March this year,
yes.
And almost more than 6 months down the line, it's still empty.
Yes, it's sad to say the least, but it's also a reflection of the fact that citizens are not engaging the government enough. Because though, I mean, as a media institution, you have done your bit, but I think that we still, as ordinary citizens, need to do more. Okay, so since that judgment, it's as if I should be the only person to push the government again. We should have a groundswell of
Let's go back a little bit. What were you seeking with the action that you took? Were you seeking to compel government to put money in the funds? Because as we do know, they have been complaining of a lack of funds for many other projects. And so were you convinced that government was indeed going to, you know, channel funds into this particular fund?
Yes, that's exactly what I sought from the court. I asked the court to order the government to activate the fund and then to allow advertise so that victims could come forward and apply, okay, for funding. Also, you know, the fund is meant to be used to set up shelters. It's meant to be used for rescue, rehabilitation, and reintegration. It's also meant for capacity building of actors in the industry, counselors, policemen, social welfare officers. So these are the laudable objectives that I wanted the court to compel the government to undertake. And the court granted the orders, you see. So, but the court gave the government 6 months. It's normal because, you know, these issues, government needs to prepare appropriation. They have to prepare, put it in the budget and all that. Yes, so one would have expected that by October. It's been 6 months now. So I thought that by now, the government should have a good story to tell. But
okay, but I mean, the government can also, you know, argue that they don't have enough funds for many of their projects, ongoing projects. They would need to be forced or compelled to channel funds into that particular fund. But should it only come from government?
No. Under the Act, it says that the fund may also receive donations from private individuals and other institutions. So meaning that ordinary citizens can step up and go to make a donation.
We have been speaking to the gender ministry, and they say they've written, you know, loads of letters to corporate organizations to assist them, you know, to channel funds into this particular fund, and the responses have been lacking.
I think the next, perhaps they need to also look at you media institutions. I see the way you are passionate about it, the way you are carrying the story.
Media institutions should, you know,
mass media
support the fund?
Yes, in this manner. If you, like what you usually do for people who need help, if they advertise their account number, people will donate. Ordinary citizens will donate. And then also for those who don't want to go to the bank, maybe you can create a box here, like the kids, the one that the kids do, so people can drop in. I'm sure we'll get some money. Yes.
Will donations sustain the fund, do you think?
No, certainly not. I've seen that, yes, donations alone cannot, but at least...
How can we compel government to, you know, make a conscious, you know, effort to be able to sustain this fund?
Also, I will return to court because that's what the court said. The court said was giving the government 6 months to put in funds. So since it's been 6 months now, I will give maybe a month or two. Perhaps government is still gathering. But if it doesn't, perhaps sometime December or January, we'll return to court.
You will return to court?
Yes.
Okay, now there's a proposal to set up another fund to compensate victims and witnesses of crime, including sexual violence. Do you think this is necessary?
Oh, certainly. In the ideal situation, it would have been. That is to say that if we're doing already what government has been compelled to do, that's if government had provided funds for this first fund, I would have been excited at the prospect of setting up another fund. But to the extent that government hasn't done it, it actually took a citizen to go to court after about 10 years. It doesn't excite me. But of course, let's look at it positively. Let's hope that perhaps with the creation of a second fund, perhaps they will do something about the first fund.
You're a lawyer. Tell us, do you think we need a class action to compel government to ensure that there are funds in this fund?
Yes, yes, that's what I was saying. That perhaps when citizens get up, ordinary citizens get up and begin to push, government will see that no, times have changed. Times have changed. If a court makes an order, the order is meant to be obeyed.
All right, many thanks. And that is Martin Kpebu. He is a private legal practitioner joining us here. Business is up next, and we have more stories for you. Don't go away.